Hello my friends, welcome back to Carpo's channel. Today I would like to talk about the complicated nature of being alive and trying to figure out our purpose in this world, but not along the lines of finding your dreams or, attaining your goals, but rather starting from the idea that really we're confused in this world and we have to create our own reality in order to figure out what we as humans want out of this life. One of the most interesting angles to this is religion and how we through thousands of years have evolved to believe what other people tell us. So therefore we're born into this world, we're raised within a culture that believes a specific deity or believes in a specific afterlife or lack thereof, and we go along with it because our peers as well do, or perhaps we find some angle that works for us. Now when I was younger I used to really despise religion, and I have some interesting memories of, a guy on the corner yelling at me when I was 15 years old, standing on literally his soapbox with his signs talking about how everyone's going to hell and singling me out of a group and telling me that I'm going to hell because of the clothes I'm wearing and the way I'm dressed. I said, this is what you believe and this is what you spend your time doing? Have fun. But that put a taste in my mouth for religion itself, and as I grew older and I started to understand and respect the need for a system of belief or an understanding, I have more of a respect for religion as I've gotten older by far than I did when I was younger. Because it's easy when you're young to just scream, "Ha, you're all idiots," and you have no proof of your God. But as you get older and you realize life is complicated and we really need some sort of a direction or a purpose, this is when people, I'm not going to say it's good or bad, it's unique to each individual. And the reason I bring up religion is because it really ties into what it means to have a purpose in life for a lot of people. In other words, for some folks, life is what you make it. For others, life is just a stopping, basically a station waiting to go to heaven, right? And that changes the way you perceive this life. It also changes the way that you act, the way you behave. It could, depending on how, involved you are in what you believe. But anyhow, this isn't about religion or beliefs. This video is more just about the angst and confusion of being alive and existing. I've had a really hard time lately trying to get myself focused and directed at getting life stuff done. There's a part of me that wakes up every day eager to jump up and get ready for the day. And I have all these interesting hobbies and things that I do. I've been into photography lately again, and I have all these interests in life, but none of them make me money. Now this is interesting, some of them, but the angle to this is that when people talk about having passions and following your dreams, a lot of people do have passions and dreams, but they're just not financially rewarding. And for most people who are into hobbies or, have interests, the money is just secondary to it. I heard a quote earlier. Somebody said, "Success leads to happiness," but the quote was that some people say success leads to happiness, but the truth is that happiness leads to success. And I would agree with that. It seems that happiness is success. And here's where it gets interesting. We might not make money off what we do, and we might just enjoy our lives, but when we have, let's say, a family that depends on us, then we have to make an income. So then we have to do something that's going to bring in income. And because of this, many of us get tied into jobs that we really don't like at all. And it makes it difficult to break away because the responsibility of a member of society, right? We have these preconceived notions about what progress is and what it means to be a good dad or a good husband or a good member of society. And many of us can just cast off these judgments and say, "I don't give a shit." But there is kind of a collective awareness that we have to get certain things done. I was finally starting to get myself focused, and I'm like, all right, I got myself directed. I'm going to start working on this. And then, as I mentioned, we had a death in the family last week, and it just completely, it was the final Jenga piece, right? The whole thing falls down and you have to rebuild. It's hard not to be affected. by the things that happen to us. So we may be very stable and know exactly what we want and be working towards our goals, and then one day something happens that just throws everything out of whack. And then we have to kind of rebuild and put the pieces back together. Sometimes that can take a couple days, sometimes it can take a week, sometimes it can take a month or years, sometimes we never ever get back to who we were. And this is especially true with not just the death of a family member or somebody we know, but the death or loss of something we had in our lives. And this is overlooked often when we talk about grief or PTSD. And people who lose, let's say, the ability to work. In my situation, I was a carpenter for years. I loved doing carpentry. I figured I was going to be successful, have my own company, and I did for a while and worked for myself. And then my back started giving out. And no matter, every time I would heal, I would go back and mess it up again by lifting lumber or twisting wrong. And I had to quit my career, and it took me a few years to realize that I was actually mourning my loss, and that I was actually thrown into kind of a depression because I had lost something. It was grieving for the loss of my ability to do what I love. It would be like if you're a photographer and you lose your eyesight, or if you were a musician and you lost your hearing. Interestingly enough, people find a way. There are, musicians who have lost their hearing who continue to play and find a way to feel the music. And I think that's what it is. It speaks to this human pressing through. We find a way. This human spirit or human nature, which allows us to just say, screw it, I'm going to do this no matter what society says. I think that that's a really awesome aspect of humanity. This underlying just spirit that we have to succeed. You might think that that's just human nature, but the question is, why do we have a desire to succeed at all, to survive at all? What makes humans want to survive, or any animals, therefore? It's the desire to continue on. And so, since animals know what they're doing, and they have their paths, and they know what they need to eat, and they know what they need to do, we humans don't. And so therefore, we have to come up with written words and sounds to tell other people what they should be doing with their lives, or who they should believe, or what they should believe. So, be an individual, be unique, figure out your own path. But at the same time, there is an aspect where where we know that there's certain, patterns or underlying archetypes that we all share as humans, that we want to do the right thing, that we want to be a good person, that we want to help others. The fact that we all have sympathy for those who we've lost, even those who others have lost, that we can understand and have empathy and see through other people's eyes. And I think that that's an amazing part of humanity, and one that we tend to overlook in our desire to make humans look like the scourge of the earth, or that life is, that we're wasting our world away or destroying our planet. There's a reason for the things that are happening, and it's our underlying ignorance in many cases. But I think that we can all work as individuals to better that ignorance. We're never going to change the world the way we want to. I shouldn't say we never will. I mean, sure, there's the old saying that don't say that one person can never change the world, because indeed it's the only thing that has. And I guess what I'm saying is, instead of trying to change everything, try to understand why things are the way they are. And that goes from our individual lives, where we feel like a victim and we whine and we complain about the life or the way we've been treated or what we've lost. It doesn't matter how bad it gets. You just got to keep fucking going. So that's my message, and hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care. Talk to you later.